when it comes to the WNBA CBA negotiations. Looking at things from the players' side, the PA and the players representing it, there's a very clear divide. Some players are firmly in the burn-it-down camp, while others are more on the side of, we still need to play. And for the first time, we've heard a WNBA player come out and openly say what many people avoid admitting. If the WNBA shuts down, there are players who simply cannot afford that. And I want to be very clear when I say this. I know people in the comments love to jump to, oh, you're anti-player. That couldn't be further from the truth. I want the players to make as much money as possible. Truly, I want them to maximize every dollar they can get. But here's the reality. The players making that money depends on the WNBA continuing to exist. If the WNBA doesn't happen this season, the league is in serious danger of not existing at all. Let's be completely honest. If the players in the league can't come to an agreement and the entire season is canceled, teams will collectively lose somewhere between $200 and $300 million in a single year. No one is going to turn around after that and suddenly give the players everything they want the following season. That's not how this works. If the WNBA doesn't play, the NBA is not going to keep funding a league that isn't operating. At that point, it's gone. Completely. And that's why players making as much money as they can is directly tied to the WNBA staying alive. So yes, negotiations should go back and forth. Push as hard as you can. Delay the season if necessary. But at the end of the day, something has to be signed. You cannot sign a bad deal, because the reality is the players are already making millions collectively. A truly bad deal is almost impossible at this stage. What is possible, however, is signing no deal at all, and that's far worse. A bad deal is better than no deal. It really is that simple. Playing under the previous CBA or a slightly improved one is far better than a strike that risks the league no longer existing. For the good of the league, something has to be signed, and negotiations can and should continue afterward. That's why what Stewie said is so important. For the first time, the WNBA is in a revenue-sharing model. Before, there was a hard cap, a strict structure, 2 max contracts, and everything else trickled down from there. Now, the biggest change is that there is no hard cap anymore. Teams can go over the cap to sign or trade for players, which is massive. The financial structure of the league is completely different, and the ceiling is being blown open. But at the same time, WNBA players have signed multiple CBAs in the past and often felt like they got shortchanged. Now they see the team valuations, the expansion fees, and the real money behind the league, and they don't want to feel like they're signing another deal that ends up screwing them. The initial proposal from the WNBA, things like a $700,000 max salary and $200, $300K averages, was absolutely not good enough. There's clearly more money in the system now, and players are right to say, don't forget to pay us. This is a constant back and forth battle. The strike authorization vote has already been approved, meaning the players technically have the power to strike whenever they want. But even Stewie makes it clear, no one actually wants to strike. As the season gets closer, players are prepared not to play if they have to, but they don't want that outcome. They want to be on the court for the fans, the cities, and the game itself. The issue is that comparing the WNBA to the NBA is like comparing apples to oranges. The contracts are completely different, and the financial gap is massive. The top 10, maybe 15 players could probably survive without a WNBA contract. But the rest of the league? Absolutely not. And this is the first time someone has publicly acknowledged that reality. Natasha Cloud's comments, essentially saying, pay us exactly what we want or we'll sit out and play unrivaled, came across as incredibly tone-deaf. That might work for a small group of players, but it doesn't reflect the reality for most of the league. Let's be honest. If you're making $150,000 to $200,000 a year, you can survive. Even $100,000 for 3 months of play can be managed if you're careful. But AU contracts paying $20,000 to $50,000? That's not sustainable. Overseas, most players are making under $50,000 for 9 months of work. Yes, they survive, but that's not a long-term career path. Without the WNBA, the league goes from around 200 players making solid, professional money to maybe 50 players doing well, and 150 players barely scraping by, just trying to keep their basketball dreams alive. That's no different from low-level Division I players chasing opportunities in lower-tier European leagues, practicing a few days a week and slowly fall behind in real-world career progression. At some point, it becomes a choice between survival and building a future. That's why, at this stage, signing something matters. A strike risks dissolving the league entirely. And dissolving the league doesn't just hurt today's players. It tells future generations that there is no real professional path in women's basketball. College women's basketball has always had viewers, but alternative projects like Unrivaled are clearly trending downward. The WNBA disappearing would set women's basketball back 20 years. Negotiation is necessary. Progress is necessary. But destroying the league in the process helps no one.